All right, ready. I have not made a knife video in a while, so I thought while I had a second before I went to the gym today, I would make a video on my most carried knives. Now, I'm a knife collector. I have quite a few, but I do find that after I waited to make this video because I have just recently collected a few knives, and I never know when I buy it if it's actually going to end up being in the rotation. It's weird. I might like something, looks cool, and then I carry it a couple times and end up hating it as I carry. I do have some that I collect just because I like them. You know, I think we all do that. You just think it looks cool. Gets carried rarely, but it's just part of your collection. Well, the knives today are actually knives that are on my regular rotation. Now, my carry style has evolved over the last year or so. I was always a foldable knife carrier. I've always liked fixed blades, but I hated wearing them on my belt. I hate just extra stuff hanging off of a belt, and I just don't like people really being able to see this big fixed blade hanging off my belt. I feel like it kind of makes you a target for bad people wanting to do bad things. I always kind of laugh at the guys I see at the old Wally World with their pistol hanging off their side, because I always think if I'm a bad guy, I'm going to go up and take you out first if I'm there to do bad things. So I try to kind of, I hate to say blend in. I mean, I don't really blend in, covered in tattoos, big beard, that kind of stuff. But I just try to, just not look like I'm carrying a ton of different weapons. But with that being said, I've gotten into the pocket carry fixed blades, the kind with a sheath like this one that will then slide into your front pocket. And then I always wear an untucked shirt, so the shirt's always covering up any knife and or sidearm that I might be carrying. Now, on a side note, just got out of the shower. Beard is on point this morning. Been doing the old attempt at growing it long. I've gotten it long enough now that I can actually tie it up when I go to the gym to keep the bar from hitting it when I'm benching. So that's an aside. So I'm going to start with fixed blades. Now, another side note, if you are familiar with the company White Knuckler, they make a really nice carry fixed blade with this index finger hole. It's got really good jimping at the top of the blade. This is a really good slasher. It's actually good for food prep too, believe it or not, but this is a great slashing knife, and it just sits perfectly in your hand. I bought this one among others a couple years ago. I really like the blacked out look, and this is their new D2 steel. It's a lot stronger of a steel than they normally started with. If you look at it, it has brass pins as well as brass liners. And again, it's very sharp right out of the box. My only issue with these knives were the sheath that it came with. They come with a hand-sewn leather sheath. And because of this design, when you would go to put it in the sheath, if you were wearing it, I would customarily cut the stitching all the way through the sheath, or the sheath up. I'd cut the leather on it, because the only way to carry their leather sheaths are either a horizontal jaw or a vertical. And I'm always reaching around for it, or I'd carry it in the middle of my back to my weak side or whatever. So what I did was I designed a Kydex sheath. This is my design with it's one of these belt clips that open up like this, and you can slide it down, snap it over top of your belt. And I had these different eyelets designed for it so that I could put it in different positions. And the way this works is the knife will slide down, and then it locks into place. And then I have this thumb swell here, so that as you pull it out, you can get a good firm grasp on the belt. So I designed that, And then I decided one day, why don't I share this with White Knuckler? So I sent a couple pictures of my design. I made one in black, and then I have one in like a brown color. And I sent him some pictures, emailed, and never expected to hear back. And lo and behold, about a month later, I think he's the president owner of the company, writes me back and says, hey, can you make some of these for me? And unfortunately, I didn't make this. I just designed it. So I had a company make this for me. But it is my design. And I sent it to him. This one in particular, with the knife in it and everything. And they designed this. It's pretty much the same design. Only thing they did was they added a leather piece so that you can do your horizontal draw from either side. So very cool design. And then appreciation, they sent me a big box of goodies, one of which was this doubloon. I think it's called the doubloon. This is a hefty knife. I would not carry this knife. It's just way too heavy, but it's really pretty. These are brass scales attached. You can see how thick they are. That is a big slab of brass. Yeah, it's a really pretty knife. Obviously, this one, they sent me this one, and I think 2 other knives, and then a whole box of their hats. I think they sent me a scarf, a cap, I call it a toboggan, and just a bunch of, probably like $1,000 worth of stuff, which I was very appreciative of. And then they sent me a bunch of their designs on the Kydex sheath. So I have probably 5 or 6 of their knives now, and I do carry them. I have to say though that these are my least carried fixed blades, because they will not sit in the pocket, and when you draw them, because of the design, you got to pull it at an angle. You can't slide it straight out. So I will typically wear this in my lower back to my weak side when I'm riding the motorcycle. It's usually my go-to with the motorcycle, because I don't want to somehow lose. I just have this paranoia that I'm going to lose a pocket knife when I'm riding my bike. So that's usually when I wear these. So that's just a little story about the old White Knuckler fixed blades. This next one is definitely in the rotation. This little guy right here, and the sheath was made by Oak City Leather. It's a custom handmade sheath, and this is the Vox Giant mouth. And the scales were made by the same company with these brass pins that are removable. You can see this flathead screwdriver will take them out. And this is an awesome little knife. It is a scalpel. It is a little small. I can only get really 2 fingers on this knife. But the great thing about this is it basically disappears in your pocket. And in an emergency situation, are you going to get to this quickly? Probably not, but I don't usually carry this knife out and about. I carry this when I don't want it to be seen. I've used this for food prep around the house. Again, it's a scalpel. It is very sharp. You have to be really careful putting it back in the sheath, because it will cut the sheath up. But just a perfect little fixed blade if you're looking for something really kind of discreet and will fit right down in your pocket. And if you're interested in the sheath, again, it's made by Oak City Leather. You can pick out the type of leather you want, as well as the stitching and what kind of hardware you want on the knife. I apologize, I'm shaking a little bit. I took my pre-workout, and it's in me right now, so I've got a little hum going on. So that one is definitely carried a lot. This next one is another big all-time carry of mine, again in another Oak City Leather sheath. I sent this one off because this was actually the first time he made this sheath. He did not have a sheath made for this knife. So I sent him the knife. This is a BMKT EDC1 in the, what blade shape is this again? It is a Bowie. I'm sorry, I should have done that. So it's a Bowie blade shape, sandblasted. These are my Carta scales, and this is a excellently balanced knife. I did put the lanyard on it with a little titanium bead, just so that I can get it out of the sheath a little faster. These sheaths have really good retention. I mean, not perfect. If you were to be scrapping with someone on the ground and you went upside down, there is a good chance it's going to pop out. But just for front pocket carry, it's good enough. And it did come with a Kydex little pocket sheath, but the way it's designed, the handle sticks way up out of your pocket. I like it to be kind of a deep carry. And again, these, if you haven't gone with the inside the pocket carry sheaths, they do fit really comfortably in the pocket, and it really doesn't show. And if you wear a shirt down over top, you can't see this. But again, this is the BMKT EDC1. They are kind of hard to get a hold of. I had to wait a long time to get this guy, but really good jimping on top of the blade. It's really sharp right out of the box, and just a great balanced, a really nice knife. Everything about it I really love. I carry that all the time. The next one is, it was a Christmas gift to me, and this is the Benchmade, and I forget what it's called, the Hidden Canyon. I don't remember. Really bad about that sort of thing. What I really like about this one, let me get up close, is it has jimping closer to the end of the blade, so you can really choke up if you're doing some like carving or shaving down, like a stick for making a point. Say if you're at the fire pit wanting to make marshmallows, or you're out in the woods and you needed to make a staff with a point on it to protect yourself from animals or whatever it might be. That's just a really good design. It has wooden handles, and they do have pins that can be removed. I do believe those look like they're Allen heads. Got kind of a cool little design on the tang. It's kind of like raised, so you get a little bit of grip there. I can get a full 4 fingers on it. I did put a lanyard on it just for getting it out of the sheath. And this sheath right here is just a universal sheath that I bought online. It has an Alti clip on it that is very, very, very strong. You slip this down underneath of your pants pocket, push this down, and it locks it into place, and it will not come out. And this, for just a universal sheath, it is very good. I mean, it's almost like it was made for this knife. The sheath that came with this knife was just your typical belt carry with snap, and I hate those things, so I got rid of it. So that is definitely in the rotation. Really great feeling knife, and it's pretty cheap relatively to the like the EDC1 or this next one I'm going to show you. This next one I just recently purchased, and for a big fixed blade, I actually carry it in my front pocket. And here it is. This is the Knuckler belt knife, but I don't carry it on my belt. Look at that big old knife. And these things are built like a tank. Look how thick that blade stock is. And it's just designed to be a work knife. I think the handles on this are a walnut. The blade coating, I forget what it's called, but it does patina and wear in time, so the knife will really get a nice patina to it over time. I did put a little lanyard on it. It has a nice little persuader on the back side, which is nice. And the sheath is a really well designed sheath. It's basically Kydex that is covered in leather. In this clip, you can move it around has really good retention. Now, I wouldn't carry this knife with shorts. I would only carry this in jeans, with a heavy pair of jeans. I put it in my front pocket, and it does, I stick it in, it does kind of hang out, but the way I carry it in my pocket, I can get a hold of it, and it is a beast. You could carry it, you know, on your belt, of course, but I just like carrying it in my pocket. And I actually do carry this knife a lot. Great knife. And that is it for the fixed blades that I carry. I do have more, but these are the ones that I carry on a regular basis. Now I'm going to move on to my folders. Now first, this is technically not a folder, but this is what I use to open boxes instead of dolling up my blades on my regular knife. So this is the TP slide. This is in titanium. Great little box cutter. The blades they do come in and out really easily, and it's great. I will stick this in my, you know, your fifth pocket, the little one where you carry a watch or whatever. I'll just throw it down in there, and anytime I have a box I need to break down, I'll bust this out instead of using my folder or my fixed blade. So great, it's made in titanium. It is a little pricey, but it will last you forever, and everyone needs a box opener without dulling your blade. The worst thing about it too is you get the tape residue on your knife blades, and that just sucks. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to move from, these are all regular carry knives, but I'm going to go from least carried to literally almost in my pocket every day. So least carried has to be my SOG. This is the Seal XR. This is a tank of a knife, and there are many different ways to open this knife. You got the you got the flip tab. You can just grab the access lock it. You can open it from the recess in the blade. Lots of different ways to open it. I did a whole long, lengthy video on this when I first got it. Now, my biggest issue with this knife is the access lock. I'm afraid when I would really need it, that would fail. It's just two little springs in there that hold that whole thing together. Now, I would prefer it had been like a frame lock or even a liner lock for how hefty it is. That's my only downfall of this knife, in my opinion. I carry this around the house all the time. This is my work knife outside. I love the finger recesses. I can get a hold of it. I like the swell at the end here. My hand's not going to slide up the blade. I just do not carry this out and about, just because I'm afraid that lock would fail. Probably won't, but in the back of my mind, it's always there. So that's the only downfall of this, but this is my work around the house knife. Great heavy knife. The steel is made in America, but everything else, of course, is made somewhere else. And this is the S35VN steel, so it's nice hard steel. But again, only if the access lock wasn't there, this would be a go-to knife. It is a little heavy. You wouldn't wear this with shorts. I would pull your pocket down. I only wear this with like pants, but around the house, it's definitely a go-to. Next one is also a great knife. It's paramilitary too. Also in S35VN. It's got the copper scales on it that I have patinaed up really nice. I use the crap out of this knife around the house, but again, because of the weight of the scales, I don't carry this out and about, because this time of year I don't wear long pants. I'm wearing shorts pretty much every day, and the shorts I wear are those kind of really lightweight, the Duluth ones that basically wick away the sweat and the water, and they're very lightweight, so anything heavy in your pocket just kind of pulls them down. So if it wasn't for the scales on here, I probably would carry this one a lot more. I really like the finger hole for deploying it. The clip, I have to constantly bend it back down because of how heavy these scales are. It slides in and out of my pocket, but I got to practice with this knife a lot more. Keeps bouncing out. But anyway, I put the scales on it when I first got it, and I'm just a sucker for patina. So if it hadn't been for the weight of the knife, I would carry that more often. Now this one, I just recently, whoop, here we go. There we go. Butterfly knife. I had one when I was younger. I had a Balisong Benchmade. Awesome knife, and who knows what happened to it. I wish I still had it because those things are expensive. So to get back into them, I bought this Kershaw off of Blade HQ. It's just a basic Balisong. Very sharp. You do not want to accidentally go to open this on the wrong side or you take your fingers off. So great knife. I do like to play around with it. Need to practice more with it, but I just bought this like a week or so ago. And I've been carrying this in my back pocket, and I get a chance, I just like to play with it. It's more of a fidgety tool than anything. It's not really practical in any sense. It would be kind of cool if they did have a clip on this, so I could clip it in my pocket instead of it, spin around my back pocket. All right, so the next ones are in my rotation quite a bit. Again, going from least carried to most carried, and this again, this knife would be carried more if it did not have the access lock on it. This is the Benchmade Bug Out. This one also is in this is S30V, the blacked out blade. I like that it has the serrated edge at the bottom. I wish all of my knives had that for cutting rope and zip ties and all kinds of stuff like that. Again, I put some copper scales on this, patinaed up nice. Just a great little knife. Man, I need to lubricate this thing. There we go. But yeah, it's a little heavy, but since it's a small knife, you don't really notice it in your pocket. I put a different clip on it than what I had with it. This one retains really well in the pocket. But yeah, if it wasn't for that access lock, I would carry this knife all the time. But again, carried quite a bit because of its size, but definitely would not risk my, or what's the word, bet my life on this knife because of the access lock. Now this next one, you'll be actually kind of surprised, but this is just a backup knife. I carry this quite a bit in my third pocket. This is not a knife I'd go to. This would be a last resort knife. And this is my Mel Pardue Benchmade automatic. Again, love this knife, dagger style, has a serrated blade. I keep this knife in tip-top shape, constantly oiling it. If it starts to lag a little bit, I do replace the spring in it. You can see how strong that spring is in there right now. So this is literally just a backup knife. But I feel like if I had to grab it, it's going to work because I constantly stay on top of it. I wouldn't get it dirty, I wouldn't get it wet. This just stays in a dry. I wouldn't work with this knife outside and get it all sweaty. This just goes with me when I'm out and about. If I lost my fixed blade or my folder or whatever happened, got in a scrap and they popped out, I'd hope to God this was still in my pocket. All right, last two knives. These are carried almost on a daily basis. And I have whittled it down to these two, actually without even thinking about it. They just, when I go to grab a knife, one of these two ends up in my pocket all the time. And the first one is my Sebenza, Chris Reeves Sebenza. I did modify this knife. I took it apart, I acid etched the blade, tumbled it to kind of match the rest of the titanium body. And it does have the inlays, the micarta inlays. I put the bead on it. This is the Tonto shape, which when I do go to sharpen it is a bear to sharp. It is a bear to sharpen because of the two different planes where you have to manipulate your sharpening device. So this one is very, very sharp. I keep it super sharp. I think it's a beautiful knife. And because of it being a frame lock, this is not going to let you down. And it's such a sweet, sweet action on this knife. I love this knife. Everything about it. I can't fault this knife in any form or fashion, it's almost like it was made for my hand. The jimping on the blade even has a little swell at the end, so your hand's not going to go up it. Just great design. I use this for everything. If there was a knife that would edge this one out just slightly, it would be this next one. And it only has one issue with it. And let me show you this one. This is my Medford 187 flipper. I love that I can stick my index finger behind that flipper tab if I need to, or got that choil up front, I can choke up on it. Has the titanium frame with the other side is that whatchamacallit, yeah, you know. My only thing about this knife is I wish I had a secondary way to open it. I wish I had like a little thumb swell in there. I mean, I can do that if I put enough pressure against it, but that I have to really, you know, find the right spot. Pretty much the only way you open this thing is with the flipper tab. So I wish I had two different ways of opening it. I do like that it is the frame lock of obviously the Medford design. I did have some really bad blade stick on it when I first got it. I had to take it apart, big no-no, but I did take it apart and I did fix that blade stick, and now it's like butter. So very awesome knife. This is probably my favorite pocket knife. Everything about it is just perfect. Like I said, choking up on it, my index finger fits perfectly in there. Obviously, that jumping on the blade is very awesome. Very thick blade stock. I feel like I could pry shit with this if I had to. It has some nice jumping on the frame as well. Fingers sit in there perfectly. It's just a perfectly shaped knife and super, super sharp. So yeah, that's the favorite. So 27 minutes. I was hoping to get it done quicker than that. And if you've stuck around this long, I give you credit. But anyway, those are my favorite knives. Fixed blades, pocket carry, folders, and yeah, I'm sure it'll change over time as I get more, but those in the present time right now are the ones I carry. Thanks for watching. Later.